Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
To Henry. Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis.
Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Skipper going free to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on the New England.
I think there's been more action this offseason so far than there was at the beginning of last season because, sweet damn, especially this week, everything, the SHIT hit the FAN because Aaron Rodgers finally makes up his damn mind, okay? But the initial reports are all wrong, and Pat McAfee is now the greatest newsbreaker in the NFL, all right? So that's the world we're living in. The Seahawks trade away their greatest player in franchise history, and I could not be happier. And Kelvin Ridley, it didn't really do anything that terrible. So we're going to get into those few things on our breakdown for week 4 of the NFL offseason. Of course, I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by the AK Alex Kropp. And how are we feeling after the news we've been seeing so far this week?
I mean, when you talk about the NFL, you think about, the perfect Sunday, the perfect Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football game now. But what you don't, what we kind of take for granted is in the offseason, March Madness time, the springtime when the roses are blooming and everything starts to smell like spring, football is still happening. And this day and this 2-day period, a Monday, Tuesday, March, are you kidding me? We get one of the best receivers in the NFL going away for a year and he just essentially admitted everything on Twitter in a sequence of events that, you can really see, his kind of his mental fortitude unfold in front of us. And then in a span of 2 hours, you have the 2 biggest quarterback dominoes to fall. And arguably any NFL offseason, those are the 2 biggest quarterbacks that could have potentially moved. Like, you don't see top 10 quarterbacks, up in limbo in one offseason, like ever. And you had 2 of them drop in the same day within hours of each other. Aaron Rodgers obviously staying with Green Bay for a 4-year, $200 million deal or whatever you want to call.
Or is he?
Compared to, Adam Schefter just has nightmares after nightmares about trying to break stories anymore because it seems like all these prima donna quarterbacks want to oust him and want to get him to discredit his information. So Adam Schefter, before you break any other news on starting quarterbacks, you might want to check your sources 3 or 4 times and call up Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But what an incredible,
especially when it comes to Rodgers. I mean, there's literally one guy that has Rodgers guaranteed like once a week. He probably knows what's going. Pat McAfee probably knows what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Let's be real about that. But Alex, let's hop in. First things first, we're going to get into Kelvin Ridley. He has been suspended all of next season for betting a whopping $1,500 on games that he was not even involved with. In fact, he wasn't even an active player when he was making these bets. So some $1,500 in bets turns into a loss of about $10 million. I think this is total BS. The league is out of their mind for this. They're punishing players way too much. So I love how we can get a league with, steroid users, women abusers, child abusers, and yet none of their suspensions compared to someone who bet a little bit of money on football games he wasn't a part of.
What this signals to me, and another big point that Stephen A. brought up I heard earlier is that not only did Calvin Ridley lose out on an entire year's salary, but now his free agency is pushed back an entire year. So he loses now another year of his prime, another year of potential earnings.
He's 28.
Moving forward. So, and he came into the NFL as an older receiver, so he did not have the luxury of having, 2 big contracts in his prime. So this is really going to hurt him financially. And, what this really is, obviously, is it's a slap on the wrist. It's a warning to every single other player. And optically, the NFL had pushed off gambling for so long, and this was the reason they pushed it off. And so I think Goodell is it warranted? Absolutely not. A year-long suspension for $1,500 betting, obviously the scale doesn't make sense here, but there's been no precedent whatsoever for any NFL player, any person associated with those games betting on anything. So this is Goodell using Kelvin Ridley as an example of, if this happens, if you get caught doing this, these are the punishments. An entire year, no matter what the scale is, no matter how much or how little you bet, this is the punishment. And so Kelvin Ridley gets to take it on the chin for every single other NFL player that, hey, this is a warning sign to everyone else. The integrity of the game, whatever you want to do, all this is optics for the NFL. The NFL does not want any sort of question or any sort of conversation around, are these games fixed? Are these games influenced by betting? And we saw firsthand how quickly and how swiftly they're going to respond to any sort of rumblings about this. And so I do not think it's fair whatsoever, but do I understand why they did it? 100%. It makes a lot of
Yeah. And let's be real here. Kelvin Ridley is not the only guy in the league betting. He's just the only one that got caught, and I think this is just another example. I'm not saying that he should not have been suspended. Absolutely, this calls for suspension. You kind of, like you mentioned, you kind of have to. But in terms of like the severity of the suspension, this just calls back to those good old days where it seems like Roger Goodell and the boys just got a big old wheel and they just spin the wheel, and however many games it lands on, that's what they go with. Because sweet damn. Suspensions and like none of this is like, I guess, it's always changing. There's no consistency with it, but that's also just the NFL in general. But let's get into some of the bigger news. All right, Aaron Rodgers, he has finally made up his mind. He is staying in Green Bay. Reportedly, initially, he signed what would have been ridiculous, a 4-year, $200 million contract, but Pat McAfee goes, let's hold on a moment, and apparently, and from Aaron Rodgers himself as well on Twitter, he is returning to the Green Bay Packers, but an exact contract has not been signed. No numbers.
I want to really point out, and especially with Aaron Rodgers specifically, we really need to look at his exact words and his context. And when you pull up the tweet, it says, "I am coming back to the Green Bay Packers for next year," and he specifically spells out next year. So I don't know if this means that this is a short term.
It's a 1 year.
Like he signs 1 year deal and then player option. I don't know if that's the case, but for a guy that really cares about his exact words and used the what was the exact words he used with the vaccination thing? He's like, I'm not unvaccinated, or he made like really weird response, but his exact
good point
mattered. So I think
you have to read into every word he says.
Yeah, so it still doesn't make me feel comfortable as a Packer fan, knowing do we have Rodgers for the next 3-4 years? I guess we have him for next, but it's still uneasy, and it's just so on brand for Aaron Rodgers to, even when he commits long term to a team, it's still a gray cloud over it.
That's to be so aggravating to not just like the Packers front staff, head office, the players, but also just the fans, like year after year, not knowing if Aaron Rodgers is going to be a quarterback or not. That's yeah, that has to be excruciating. And like you mentioned, there is a good chance that they might go through all of this again next season. Jeez, dude. Honestly, I kind of think it's funny though.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's so on brand for Aaron Rodgers, and he loves the attention. Because the thing is like, if he signs a long-term deal and there's no uncertainty around his future, he loses his main source of entertainment, which is keeping people guessing, throwing out weird, vague statements to let the media run wild with it. So this just leaves him that option to make sure he's got that in the back pocket.
That's exactly what he does here, and man, it's just the whole source thing. It feels like even from like the top guys, like Schefter, Ian, and those kind of guys, it seems like, I guess, the accuracy of the reports, especially like over the last few months, has been declining. Is that something that I'm just feeling, or do you feel that too?
I think it's honestly a case of these players, they understand now like how much their brand and how much what they say and what people think about them really affects and really influences their endorsement deals, their contracts, just the way people talk about them online. Like everything matters so much that I think the players are now taking more precautions and taking more steps to control their own narrative. And so you have the old the old ways the media used to work, and however sport you're covering, it's a little different, but it's usually either an agent or a lower level person in the front office that has information, leaks it to an agent to try, or a media person to try to promote their own career, try to establish rapport with that reporter. And so I think what we're seeing now is you're seeing that old machine work, but now the players in the past, they wouldn't have had the audacity or wouldn't have had the kind of the stones to go up and challenge and say, like, no, this is actually what's happening, because they just didn't have those voices 10, 15 years ago. But now with social media and everyone having their own, social media team and PR branding team, they're more apt to go out and try to control their own narrative. So this is exactly a case of, maybe the contract deals are like what the Tom Brady thing. Tom Brady was retiring. Everybody knew it. Schefter's sources were good. The Bucs confirmed that this was happening, but Tom Brady wanted to have that right. Tom Brady wanted to control that narrative and say it. And so Schefter tweets that out, and then the next day he retires. It's like, what are we really doing here? It's, it seems like we're just trying to pull the rug out from under these newsbreakers. But at the end of the day, like, a lot of what they do end up saying comes to fruition, but in some roundabout way where the player still gets to say, like, oh no, this is really what happened here. But really it's all.
Yeah. I just love the whole thing where you can say anything you want in your tweet. As long as you end it with per sources, you're fine. You're off the hook. It's not your fault. All right. You're not the one wrong about it. Hey, Alex, this just in, Deebo Samuel is going to be making $50 million a year, and he's actually going to be the next quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers per source.
I wouldn't be pissed about that, but let me wait for Deebo.
It might be a higher ceiling than with Jimmy there, and I don't even think that's a stretch.
I mean, he's got great efficiency. We saw his touchdown throw to Juwan Jennings in last season.
Yeah, him and Trey Lancer, and when it comes to attempts per touchdown pass, they're both pretty good. That's not bad. And speaking of pretty good, let's talk about Russell Wilson, because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I do. Okay. I have a question about the Packers still. So
okay.
The whole year leading up to this, Davante Adams has been behind Aaron Rodgers, and where this guy goes, I go. Batman, Robin, everything like that. So Davante is still a free agent right now. Does this mean?
Well, they're going to tag him.
I was going to say, are they?
Yeah, they're going to tag him.
Getting a long-term deal to match up with Rodgers' length, or are they just going to keep tagging him until?
Well, they did say it's going to be a cap-friendly deal for Aaron Rodgers. I didn't really think $200 million for 4 years is cap-friendly, but.
Well, his cap hit for next year is sitting at like $46 million or something like that. So if
I think their plans are to tag him. That's the reports that were coming out per source, of course. But they're going to tag him and work to an extension. But I guess what the point you brought up, that if Rodgers is not, it probably is all depending on Aaron Rodgers' actual. Legit final contract, if he's actually going to be there for multiple years, or if it's just going to be another one of these 1 year BS things, with extension. So I feel bad for Adams. He's kind of caught in a bit of limbo here. But at the same time, he's getting paid if he's getting tagged.
Exactly. But it's also like, the fact that Davante Adams is one of the best receivers of this generation, this crop of receivers, Davante Adams is added near the top of it. And although he's hitched his wagon to a very successful quarterback and one that's made him a lot of money over the years, it's just got to be frustrating that he hitched his wagon to someone who's so unstable, so sensitive, and so, I don't know the adjective to describe it, but just very go with the windy and not have any, sense of security or any sense of stability moving forward. So
It is weird.
as much as Adams, owes a lot of his career to Rodgers, he probably wishes a little bit that like you at least let me know what's going on here so I can like in my everything that I
Dude, you got my number. Just call me. I just want to know what the hell I need to do.
maybe but that's definitely not
Yeah.
the impression that I'm getting that I hear.
Definitely a little bit of speculation going on there, but
no,
what's not
as far as Mr.
Right.
Denver Broncos fan, take it away.
Okay, Alex. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we're going to the ship. 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 Super Bowl favorites. Let's go, Denver Broncos. This is the most excited I've been since they won Super Bowl 50. There is no better day to be a Broncos fan since that day in 2016 in the month of February, because the Broncos, for the first time in what feels like decades, have an actual starting quarterback that's not a bench player, that's not a practice squad wide receiver, that's not some 6'8" guy that can't even make it in the CFL. They have a future Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson, who, in fact, is not even 6 foot, so it's really the sign of a new era. Denver Broncos, George Patton. Oh boy, we thought we didn't get Rodgers, but we got Russell Wilson, and I could not be happier, man. It's a historic day in franchise history.
Hear these trade details, Ross. Lay it on me, please.
It is. Well, so they're trading a few players away with it as well. It's going to be Drew Lock. It's going to be also, first off, nothing but respect for Drew Lock. He's handled this whole situation he's been in as best as he could, and he's been a real team guy. So I wish him luck.
Ross, give me a break.
What?
What is he supposed to do? He's a horrible quarterback, and he's the only you're giving him credit for not being.
I give him credit for not being a dick. Yeah. Yeah, I will. I don't care. Noah Fant is going to Seattle, and Shelby Harris, arguably the most underrated defensive lineman or defensive player in the league, I might add, is going to Seattle. This guy, they're all good. Honestly, and then that goes along with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and the 5th-round pick. In return, the Broncos get Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick. Now, with this, Drew Lock, obviously, that's not a loss. Shelby Harris is a loss. He's good, but the Broncos have pretty good depth when it comes to interior defensive line. Noah Fant seems like a loss, but honestly, over the last season, I've been more sold on Albert Owegbunam more than I have on Noah Fant. When it comes to just pure talent, I'll give it to Fant. When it comes to actual being able to blocking, not getting all these penalties, just being a good receiving threat in an all-around tight end, I give that to Albert O. So, although Noah Fant, it's not like the Broncos don't lose anything by trading him away. That's not really a horrible loss. And in fact, I think this is a very fair trade for either team.
Well, here's the one pushback that I have for you is if you're the Broncos, you are trading Drew Lock, obviously addition by subtraction. No loss. Mm-hmm. Trading a contributor on the defensive line, a really underrated, really good player, Shelby Harris. Optically a top 10 tight end. Understand completely everything you say about Alberto. Love the way he blocks. He's a big target. He makes big plays. Runs after the catch. He's going to work great with Russell Wilson. So I totally there. But when you add on 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 5th and the 4th is a wash. So essentially you're giving up 6 assets to get Russell Wilson. And doing that, I totally see the value in the quarterback position. But one thing I just am really kind of struggling with is you trade all of these assets and you now have a bottom half quarterback in your division. How does that happen, Ross? How do you have the 3rd best quarterback in your division after trading 2 firsts, 2 seconds, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris? How does that happen?
Well, Well, one first thing off, it's really hard to at least be the second best quarterback in that division, considering Patrick Mahomes is in terms of talent, he's probably
that's a moot point. No.
yeah. And Justin Herbert he can be better than Russell Wilson. Right now, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback in terms of career, but of course, Russell Wilson's been in the league a lot longer than Justin Herbert is, obviously. I would say the ceiling on Justin Herbert is higher, the floor on Russell Wilson is higher. So, he really could be contending for the second best quarterback in that position. I think that's really the only place where that competition lies. No one is going to be better than Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson's obviously better than Derek Carr, even though Derek Carr is a underrated quarterback in his own right. And honestly, the Chargers don't even matter because the Broncos haven't lost to the Chargers over like the last 3-4 seasons. So, and Justin Herbert hasn't even changed that.
One thing that I even forgot is Russell Wilson might be the fourth best quarterback in that division because Derek Carr's gotten MVP votes. Has Russell Wilson before?
No. Oh. Who has a playoff win?
Okay. I do have one thing I want to bring up seriously. Obviously, I'm busting your balls here, Russell Wilson. The Denver team is one of those teams that you can see where you slot in a good starting quarterback, and that team has everything else around it.
It has a receiving core. It has the running back duo. It has a great defense, especially if we want to get into it. J.C. Jackson, the Broncos bring in Russell Wilson, and they have they still have the most top 3 most cap space in the league. J.C. Jackson's on the board. And you want to know who else? Someone that apparently had insider information yesterday from the teases he's put on his Instagram. Von Miller's coming back to Denver.
He might be.
I think he is.
I think you called this shot earlier in the year too. If the GM can trade him for assets, he goes get a Super Bowl, comes back happy, and you get to that's a big W all around. But I do have one serious question that I really need your is. Post Russell Wilson injury 2021, how can you explain what happened to him and what makes you confident that that is not the Russell Wilson you're going to get moving forward?
I think he was kind of rushed back, if we're being honest there. They were in the middle of a playoff battle in that division, and they got really close to making it. Geno Smith was not going to get you to the playoffs, and obviously that's the thing you do. One thing I do like is that I guess it's still a bit of a question, but the Broncos could definitely they have the ability to shore it up in free agency and through the draft. They need to get a right tackle. They need to just bolster that offensive line a little bit more. Because remember, even last year, Russell Wilson back from injury, it's not like he still had a good offensive line. They were bad. And they've been bad for years. He also didn't have a defense to back him up as well. If you can let Rodgers give him a little bit of time where he's not running for his life 1 second after the ball is snapped, he's going to make some plays happen. And especially the Broncos receiving core already. They keep Jerry Jeudy, which was a concern when it came to a trade for Aaron Rodgers. They keep Jeudy. You still have Tim Patrick. You have Cortland Sutton. You have KJ Hamler, who was out for most of last season with a torn ACL. That happened early. I think that actually happened at the Jets game that was sad, in week 3. But that dude is fast as hell. And so
perfect with Russell Wilson.
Yes! If you want to talk about guys that take the roof off of defenses, this offense has all the ability to do so. Really, the only thing stopping them right now, or at least would have been stopping them, is Pat Shurmur, but his ass is out of Denver forever. And I'm excited because Hackett he has a guy he can work with. The offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, they all have so much talent that they can work with here. And if that rookie class can build off of what they did last year, keep in mind, the best rookie class in George Patton's first year as GM, another really underrated talent is Josie Jewell, linebacker for the Broncos, the outlaw. He was out with a torn pec for most of last season. Before it, he was having the best year of his career. They could bring him back. He's a free agent, but they're going to bring him back. I mean, you have the space, you might as well. This team is going to be, if you can bring in a guy like J.C. Jackson, bring in Von Miller, bolster up the offensive line a little bit, it's really hard to find a hole in this Broncos team.
So I do have a question for you. With Nathaniel Hackett coming in and the way the Broncos played offense the last 2-3 years and having a To me, Javonte Williams is a top 5 running back in the NFL. When you look at
Yes, sir.
when you look at the ability to make people miss, catch and run the ball, and just the overall explosiveness you have at the running back position. And we've talked about this before. I think the running back position is very much a
Plug in and
revolving door. You can find people to not lose a lot of marginal return, but with Javonte Williams, you just have a different level of playmaking and a different level of juice you bring to that offense. So what would you like to see Hackett and this Broncos offense do moving forward to include all those pieces now with Russell Wilson at the helm?
I want to see them do something that they haven't done the last 2 years, or at least, and that's run the football.
Yep.
If they could run the football, Javonte Williams is an animal. And especially, they got the cap space. I would not mind if they brought back Melvin Gordon either. The only problem there is that he wants to be RB1. I don't think he's better than Javonte Williams, so that is going to be a bit of an issue there. They still have Mike Boone, who could be a really solid RB2. You put Javonte Williams RB1 there. They can run the hell of this football, open up where Russell Wilson's able to get out of the pocket, do a little play action, take deep shots down the football field with those wide receivers. That Russell Wilson has an arm, all right? I mean, we've seen his passes to Metcalf, to Lockett. He can make plays. He's able to put the ball where the defenders can't get to it and his receivers can. That's, I mean, we've hardly seen the Broncos quarterback that can get the ball to where the receivers can come close to catching it. So that's exciting in its own right. They're going to run the football. I think they could be really successful running team, and of course that's something that they haven't been able to do for a while, and they haven't had the great quarterbacks. And now you're relying even more on those average to below average quarterbacks to make plays with their arms that they simply can't do. This is going to open up holes in defenses, and I think this just all around. They just have the ability to be an all around good team, like in terms of. I guess depth at every position, the Broncos are going to be really good.
Very good.
And they're going to be one of the top teams in the league. And I've been saying for like 3 years now, dude, we're just a quarterback away. But we got the guy.
This is a big season for the Broncos because everything that you guys have been talking about for the last 5 years, ever since
it's here
runs, it's on paper for you. You don't have the fanny pack man. You don't have back that just weighs you down. You have Kelvin Harmon trying to take snaps back there. Everything is set.
Kendall Hinton,
excuse me. Was that a DB?
I think.
I apologize, Kelvin. But Wake Forest stud is Wake Forest guy, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There we go. You got one part. It's okay.
Yeah, but one thing I'm just extremely excited about, and I don't know if I don't know how many times Russell Wilson's played at Mile High before, but one staple that you have when you see a Russell Wilson football is that big old looping deep ball that just ends up right in Tyler Lockett's hands, right in DK Metcalf's hands. But when you take this man who is used to throwing these balls at sea level at the CenturyLink or whatever it's
literally on the beach.
You are now putting him at Mile High Stadium. That ball may never come down again. I don't know how high this is be able to throw the ball, but it's going to go so much higher than it did at Seattle, and it's just going to look that much better when it's falling into a KJ Hamler's hands or Cortland Sutton or Judy or Tim Patrick or Albert. Javonte on a wheel.
All these receiving threats, man. The Seattle, they have one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. But the Broncos, in terms of entire 4 to 5 man core, they might have the best in the league.
All right. Hold on.
I know. Okay. Yeah. I know.
It's blowing up like it's at Mile High now. I was with.
Yeah, I know. I just let me take with it, but they are very good. There's. Oh my. I am excited for a Broncos season of football, Alex. Also, congrats to the Year Niners for not having to deal with them twice a year.
I was waiting to bring that part up. Win for everyone. Now the NFC West, you have the Rams who don't have assets moving forward for the next 5 years.
Maybe no Von Miller.
Maybe no Von Miller. Maybe no Odell. Maybe all this.
Maybe no Aaron Donald.
Maybe no Sean McVay. Maybe Sean McVay.
There's a lot of questions for the Rams.
And then you have an Arizona Cardinals team where their quarterback is like an emo kid that either can go play baseball or wants to be the highest paid player in the NFL.
Hey, to be fair, he did unarchive his Cardinals pictures on Tuesday. So
in that whole that whole experience,
so stupid.
I have to deal with if I'm an NFL franchise with my number one quarterback who just got smoked and embarrassed on the first ever Monday night playoff game, and now he's demanding the world. Like, give me a break.
Come on now. You got to be able to back it up a little bit.
Ross, I'm really happy for you.
It's a great day. It really is a great day of football. I just haven't felt this feeling of optimism in a long time, Alex, and it's weird. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I envy right now. I just can't wait for that Tom Brady signs on the dotted line and becomes our quarterback, and I get to feel the same thing.
Hey, the Niners have been able to get close with the floor raiser and Jimmy G. So
maybe Jimmy G goes to Seattle. This opens up a quarterback position, because I don't know if Drew Lock's going to be a long-term answer up there.
Absolutely not. But one thing I do think seriously about that, depending on, of course, the legal issues with Deshaun Watson, the Seahawks now have more assets to be able to bring him in.
Yeah. I mean, how are you feeling?
Because they're asking for 4 firsts.
Yeah.
The Seahawks now have the ability to offer that.
Well, this also replenishes their stockpile after the Jamal Adams trade.
Yeah, which was a horrible trade. Also, speaking of horrible things, the Jordan Love draft pick was horrible when they happened, and it's just as bad as now. It's not like it's gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. This whole Aaron Rodgers situation, I mean, you obviously have to look in that trade or that draft pick in the vacuum, but it's never been good, and I just want to put that out there real quick.
Very true. Does he even have any market value right now?
I'll give him 4th.
What team, if any, would take a chance on Jordan Love right now?
The Commanders?
I mean, honestly, the Texans. Like, just really, really bottom-feeding teams.
Maybe the Lions? But you won't do an inter-division trade like that. Not a whole lot of teams, man. Not a whole lot there.
You're the Packers GM trying to find a trade partner for him.
Oh man. Hey, also, side note with the Broncos. One more positive, Alex. Guaranteed no Mr. Trubisky next year. I was getting worried. I was getting too worried. But man, what a week it's already been, and it's a good day to be an NFL fan. It's a good day to be a Broncos fan. It's still a good day to be a Niner fan. So it's just a good day to be us.
Agreed. I'm extremely excited for the NFC West next year, and you're extremely excited for the AFC West next year. That's 2 wins right there for the 2 co-hosts. I love it.
Dude, we don't get this too often, so it's so great to be able to be equally happy. You've been stealing all the happiness as of late, so I'm glad I'm able to take a little bit of it back. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into our Week 4 breakdown of the NFL offseason. Give us your thoughts on Kelvin Ridley. Is the league doing the right thing, or are they going way too far with him? Is Aaron Rodgers actually going to be in Green Bay long term? And what is going to happen with the Denver Broncos now? Are they going to the Super Bowl? Is a yes or yes? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, or hit us up on our socials over at Twitter and Instagram. But the best place to find us, everything is thefourthandlong.com for all your NFL stuff. That's thefourthandlong.com/NFL. Of course, I've been your host, Ross, joined by none other than AK Alex Kropp, and we got some more stuff coming for you this offseason, so stay tuned. But Alex, send us off. How are we feeling?
Can you imagine March 8th, 2022 going any better than this for the NFL calendar? I mean, I want everyone to just take a moment and realize that we have 5-6 months until football is kicked off, but we are this excited already. This 2022 season is going to be incredible. It's going to be nuts. We're all going to be used to the 17 NFL regular season games, 7 teams from each conference. It's going to be nuts. Where's all the quarterbacks going to go? Where is everyone going to go? I can't wait. 6 months to go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. It's going to be a great offseason. Keep her tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you in the next one. Boom. There we go. 451, win the minute over.
Bye-bye.
But